Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. And I am delighted to have Josh Keating with us today. Josh, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
It's my pleasure entirely. So, Josh, I want to get to know a little bit about you, and I
hmm
can't help but see your fantastic brand, Dude Invests.
hmm
I'm kind of curious. Can you tell us a little bit about the brand and how you got to be where you are?
Yeah. Well, I'll start and tell you a little bit about myself. So I come from like a machinist background, and I did that in high school. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, though. So even in back in elementary school, I was selling different things and hustling to get things that I needed, because that's what I had to do. So, with that, I kind of took off and had a career in machining and did a lot of different things, high precision parts and stuff like that. I was a supervisor at Wiseco Pistons and made, high performance pistons and stuff like that.
I'm curious to hear, you had said you started it in high school. How did you start it in high school?
I went to a vocational school.
Oh, awesome.
So I took
Awesome.
precision machining in vocational school because it seemed, I'm from a very small town, and the vocational school was in a little bit bigger of a town. And so that was a way for me to kind of get out of there, and also I wanted to make my own bike parts and stuff like that too.
What kind of parts were you making? Why did you want to make parts?
Well, I mean, I wanted to start my own bike company, really. That was my goal back then. I
What
remember
kind of bike?
writing just BMX bikes.
Oh,
So
BMX. Oh, you're a BMXer?
on BMX riding, yeah. Yeah, so hitting
Fun.
like hidden jumps and jumping off roofs and going to skate parks and just out there trying to hurt myself. Just, and
I
it's
hear you.
actually crazy because in my real estate journey, I compare a lot of things to my BMX journey as well, because, just like cold calling or getting on the phone, it's scary and you don't know what to do, and you're probably going to fail, and you have to go into it knowing you're going to fail. And the same with like hitting a new jump. You've never hit this jump before. You don't know how fast to go. You don't know how hard to pull up on the handlebars, and you know that you're probably going to wreck. But
Wow.
it's possible. And once you wreck, you can get up, you can recalculate after you wreck because you're like, oh, I went too fast. Next time you slow down a little bit, So
Wow.
I'm not afraid of the failure
Well, that's good.
or crashing.
Yeah, that's very good. You're brave because I don't know. I I think I'd be afraid to do that, but who knows?
Hmm.
So you got yourself going as a precision machinist, and did you stay in the slightly larger town? Were you working there,
I
or
did
what
move to
happened?
I moved to some cities as well. I moved up to Cleveland and Mentor, and that's where I became a supervisor at Wiseco Pistons. So that was one of my first tastes in management,
Nice.
and actually in corporate management as well, which was an even bigger taste, we'll say. A bigger thing for me to swallow, really, because I was
Yeah.
young, and I came from the floor and moved up into a supervisor position. So therefore, I had a lot of people that weren't so happy because they had been there longer and they wanted the position. But I was the people's person, since everyone liked me, everyone respected me, because I was there for them and they knew that. But when it comes to corporate and upper management, they wanted me to tell guys things, and I wasn't comfortable with like kind of fibbing because I didn't understand. But now I understand that sometimes you have to, not tell them the whole thing because of the bigger picture and the way everything has to work.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
so I did.
Interesting. Very interesting. How long did you stay as as a supervisor, and how did you get from that to real estate?
So I was a supervisor there for about 3 years. And then I had moved back to my hometown. And then I had an opportunity to run a shop, like a job shop with a guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I did that for a while. And it wasn't really the correct path either, because it just wasn't, it felt like I was working really, really hard to make someone else's dreams come true. And I was like,
W-2s.
this,
Yep.
yeah. And I was like, this isn't for me. There's something more for me out there. And about that time also, I quit drinking, because what came with the stressful machinist life and being around an environment in shops where guys are not very positive, you know, I got a really bad drinking problem, and I became an alcoholic. And so 5 years ago now, I got sober. I had my last drink 5 years ago. So,
Congrats.
and that's what really got me going towards real estate. So
Wonderful.
at that point,
So sobriety.
sobriety. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so stopping or changing your lifestyle from one of being alcoholic to non-alcoholic is hard enough. I myself have not had that, but I had a sister who did, and I had a couple of uncles who passed away from it and things like that. So I understand the difficulty.
Yeah.
That alone is very, very difficult. But how did it lead you to real estate?
Well, it didn't necessarily lead me to real estate, but it led me to community, because after with that, I needed something else to do with my time, something else to do with my energy, and something else to do with my hands. So I started a brand called Dude Crafts, to where
Food crafts.
Dude Crafts. Yeah.
I
Before Dude
love it.
Invests, it was Dude Crafts. So, and then with that, I started a community of all kinds of different artists, like from graffiti artists to mothers that are using Cricut machines to make towels and stuff. And I brought them together and was able to infuse everyone and have everybody collaborating. And, we started group chats, and we're doing Zooms, and kind of like the real
Cool.
estate community. But, and this was way before I found Pace, but I had found Gary Vaynerchuk at that time, Gary V. So he was kind of a big
Is he
voice
in real
in.
estate or is
No, he's not in
he's in
real
crafts?
estate. Just marketing and entrepreneur
Got it.
things. Yeah,
I think it's really cool that you started a community for
yeah.
people who did crafts and that you'd have such a diversity. That's awesome.
And that's what it was really all about for me, is just the community, because that's like the organic following. And just like me, I'm a very real person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And like, and for me to be able to connect and help people, like was huge. That was the biggest reward ever. And like, I sold products, and I had an Etsy store, and all of that stuff. But really the community aspect and bringing people together, like that was huge. So I was still doing that. And then, let's see, I would say a year and a half ago, I was still doing all the crafting and all of that. And,
Were you
it just,
supporting yourself that way?
I was still working in a machine shop for a little bit, but I did go and do the crafting full time for a little while.
Gotcha.
But I found out that it was kind of hard to sustain that, really, especially not having like a lot of capital to work with. So it's like, what you need inventory and stuff, like, for a lot of things like that. And
Right.
so I didn't see the whole, I didn't see me being able to make a business out of it, and the way I wanted to. And so that's what led me into real estate. I was like, there's got to be something else. And I was actually looking into getting into graphic design
Hmm.
and being a freelance graphic designer. And then I saw a TikTok of Paul McComas,
Hmm.
which, rest in peace, he passed away last year. But he was a wholesaler, and he was, had a bunch of viral TikToks, which I'm glad he did, because that's what got me to thinking, like, and this guy was a mechanic, so that's what something.
He was a mechanic?
Yeah, he was blue collar, so I
Oh,
related with him, and he's talking about, selling paper, we're just, making money, getting these houses under contract and not selling the house, but selling the paper and making an assignment fee. And I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be legal. This can't, no way. So I started digging deeper, and I followed, got as much information from him as I could. And then that led me to Jerry Norton. And I was like, okay, I like this guy, his vibe's cool. He's very smart. He definitely knows, seems like has more experience than the last guy I found. And then from Jerry Norton, I found Pace Morby's community and the creative finance group on Facebook and on
interesting. Very
YouTube.
interesting. When you found Jerry's community, did you start wholesaling? Like when, or were you
No,
just watching?
I was just consuming. Yeah. I was still taking notes and filling my notebook and just still trying to take it all in. And also I was still trying to figure out if this is something I wanted to even pursue, because I had a bit of a moral dilemma in the beginning.
Why? How?
Because when you first start looking at it, everyone's like, well, we make these, we're making low cash offers, we got it, these people, we got to get it for this price. And it's almost like, well, are we robbing old ladies and grandmas here and grandmas and grandpas of their houses? Because I'm not okay with that.
Yeah,
If that's what we're doing, then I got to find another business.
right. I
So
gotcha.
I was like, I didn't understand the value that we were bringing yet.
Mhm.
So I was still like on the fence, like, okay, I think it sounds legit, and I don't think we're just like pulling the rug out from people. Like so then I started going more and more and learning before I had started wholesaling at all yet.
Okay.
And
And this was a year and a half ago?
yes. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you decide that, or how long ago did you decide I'm going to try to do a wholesale?
March of last year.
Okay,
At the
so
end of March.
okay,
The end of March.
April, that
Mhm.
part of 2022.
Yes, of 2022. Yes.
And
March
how
of
did you start it? Was it through Jerry, or tell us about
No.
that first
Yeah,
one?
my first one. Well, I started, so I knew a BMX rider out in Southern California, and I had followed him. I follow him on Instagram, and I seen that he had been doing like some house flipping and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, well, I have a common I already have like, things in common with this guy. I feel comfortable hitting him up, and so I hit him up and I was like, hey man, how can I get involved? Like what, like I'm wanting to do this as well. Like, and so he gave me a buy box. He let me know what they were looking for in that area. I said, this is perfect because I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm going to start at the end and work my way forward.
Okay, good.
So he's like, all right, so this is what I'm looking for. This is, if you find me anything, bring it to me, we'll check it out. And so that's when I found the creative finance page with Pace Morby. So I was on there, I was networking. I actually had gotten rid of Facebook before that. And then I realized, like after seeing Pace on YouTube and I was like, oh crap, I need Facebook. I have to get connected with the communities on there. So I did, and on there, I'm making posts. I'm looking for this in Southern California. I'm looking in this area. If you got it, and I was also not just making generic posts, but I would use my graphic design skills and make something that is a little more catchy to the eye.
Good for you.
Yeah. And like, so I kept doing that, kept making things like visual things, more of like, make it kind of more cool rather than just some text and,
Right.
and then people started hitting me up that were in Southern California. I started keeping contacts. And then one guy hit me up, Carlos Ruiz.
Oh, I know Carlos.
Yeah, so that was the first time. Now me and him I'm happy to call him a best friend
Nice.
now. It was like one of my first real like internet best friend like that, it's really cool. Like,
Awesome. Now
and
he has a group called Powerhouse. Was it
mhm.
up and running at that time or was it before then?
He might have just started it, but I don't think he had really quite started it yet.
Okay, because I remember when he started that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. And did you get involved with that part? What was your involvement with Carlos? How did you
I
guys connect?
Well, we connected on a phone call. He said he had a property that he was trying to get rid of, and it was in Palmdale, California. So, and that's where my buyer is located, or he was buying in that area. So I talked to Carlos. I was like, I have a buyer, so he gave me the address. I sent it to my guy, and my guy didn't want it.
Oh,
I was like, oh, well, that sucks. Like it was just
totally.
wasn't for him. So I went back to Carlos and I was like, hey man, my buyer doesn't want it. And he's like, well, I do have some other buyers. And I said, well, let me find you another buyer. Give me 24 hours. I'll find you another buyer. I'll give me 24 hours. I will find you another buyer.
Wow,
He's like,
good for you.
yeah. So I was just like, man, I can do this. I can, this is I have the opportunity right here. Now's the time to see if I can do it, and I'm pretty savvy with the internet. And so I was like, I can figure stuff out. And,
So what
so
did you do with it?
so I had recently just gotten Privy. Privy, I think, had just kind of came out like not too long before that. It was just kind of starting to pop off. And so I got into all that and finding out, how to find buyers. And I just started Googling like how to find buyers, how to, and I
You.
was going to Facebook groups and yeah, all kinds of different things. And I ended up finding a buyer
It,
or a guy in Palmdale. I called and had the address and he's like, yeah, I like it, like, and then that was over text. Actually, I had texted him a couple times and then he called me and I was like,
he called
oh
you?
yeah, he called me. It was like I was
Oh
like,
my
gosh, he's
God.
calling me. I'm like, I have to answer it. I have to answer it. And I was like, okay, here we go. Settle down. And then so I called it. He was interested. He told me the price that he was interested in buying it at too. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go back to Carlos and I was like, hey man, I got a buyer and this is what he'll buy it at. And he's like, he's like, dude, that is awesome. He's like, do you know what you have right there? And I'm just like, yeah, I got a buyer, man. Like that's yeah, yeah. And he's like, no, that guy's actually gonna pay 87% of the ARV. And I was like, he's like, that's a really, really good buyer.
Yeah,
He's like, that's someone you need to keep in your pocket. He's like, that guy's paying a very high percentage, more way
nice.
higher than what other people are paying.
Cool. So he must
So
have been very
that's
happy.
yeah, he was very happy. And that was my first deal with Carlos. And
Did you know
finding
how much you were making and how much did you make?
I didn't know how much I was making. Nope, I didn't even care. I mainly just wanted to do it for proof of concept.
Yep.
And me and Carlos built a very good relationship, you know,
Nice.
and then I found out about a JV agreement and I was like, oh man, I didn't get a JV agreement. And I was like, I didn't do that, because I was just so new, still learning things. And I was like, well, you know what? I do trust this guy, as far as the conversations we've had so far. This guy is also, putting himself out there on the internet, trying to build his business, trying, putting, like, I think if he would try to burn me, I could just, call him out and then, his credibility is not going to be good. So, I mean, and it, went great, me, him, it was actually a three-way JV. There was another guy that was involved also.
Do we know
So
him?
that Carlos was partnering with.
Okay.
So we all three got paid. I made 7,500 on that one.
Oh, that must have been so sweet.
Oh my gosh, it was so I couldn't even believe it. I even when the check came and I deposited in my account, I still didn't believe it until I could go to the ATM and hold the cash in my hand. I I was like, there's no way. that I just did this.
Awesome. Awesome.
And it
So
was
once you had your proof of concept, what'd you do?
once I had proof of concept, it was the floodgates were open because there were so many things to do, and plus I was still learning too. And Pace, started through, I wasn't in SubTo, I wasn't in any other mentorships except Carlos had started his community powerhouse. So I was like, and I was really involved in that, trying to help it grow and push it out there. And like I met so many wonderful people in that community too, and like learned so much. And I provided my skills as like graphic design and being a people person and bringing people together and just showing heart. That was my biggest thing, is just showing heart. And like even the little things, just
Yeah,
being
but
there.
it's
And
important. It's important. I hope our audience is taking notes on this. You don't necessarily have to have a license. You don't have to, have a degree, but you do have to have heart. And if you are a people person, and I don't know of anyone actually who doesn't like Josh, the point is that people want to do business with those that they like and they trust and they know. So, you don't get to knowing without liking, and trusting comes along the way. So I think that's really awesome. Really awesome. I'm glad that you were growing with Powerhouse. And did
Mhm.
you continue to do wholesaling, and how did you get your lists? And
Yeah.
tell us how you got to where you are now, because now you're in SubTo. I know
Hmm.
you have I know you're in partnership with Benjamin.
Hmm.
And I'd like to know, how'd you get
Yeah,
from
I've done.
there
I know.
wholesaling to,
There's still a lot I've done in a little
yeah,
gap.
exactly. So do tell.
So, with some of that $7,500 that I got from that first deal, I took and I invested in myself and my education a little bit. And I was going to join SubTo. I knew my heart was in SubTo. That's where my heart was. That's where my people was. And I had already made so many friends in SubTo already. I was already kind of on the outskirts. But I wanted to learn agent outreach, because that's what I wanted to pursue for my marketing. And because also I didn't have a lot of money to start with.
Mhm.
So that is a very great free way to market, is to reach out to agents,
Of course.
and go after on market properties or build relationships with agents, which I'm
Yep.
good at. I can talk to people. That's easy, so and then you can get off market opportunities once you build relationships with them.
Exactly.
So I joined Agent Investors with Ryan Zolan.
With
And
Ryan.
Ryan Zolan, Zolin. He's in Arizona, and he's a very younger guy that had a lot of success in doing agent outreach and doing on market properties. And he was I think one of Jamil's, or actually may have been Jamil's first student.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then was he in Astro Flippers?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So he was in Astro.
So did you know of Jamil at that time?
I
Or
had, yes,
okay,
just from YouTube.
got it. Okay, interesting. So when you started to invest with Ryan for self-education, was it a mentorship like Astro Flippers, or how did it work and what did you
Yeah.
do?
It was a mentorship, kind of like Astro Flippers and well, I won't say it's like SubTo because nothing is like SubTo.
Nothing's like
But
SubTo.
yeah. It's a whole different thing. But and I will also say Ryan had just launched his mentorship. I was one of the first ones that, joined once he launched it.
Wow.
So yeah, it has a course, and then he has a community, has a Discord and everything also that they're still very active in now, and I still go in there and still help out and everything like that as well. So I
Nice.
started doing the agent outreach and got pretty good at that. And I was doing live calls with Powerhouse. I was doing agent outreach, live seller calls to try to help people learn how to do the agent outreach and everything like that.
Yep.
And then, so in all of that, I wholesaled a few deals through agent outreach. I wholesaled some deals through JVing with people,
Nice.
because I just, with building all those relationships, like even ones that I had built in the beginning of my journey, like so those started coming back to me, like
Yeah. Isn't that
where,
interesting?
yeah, it's like, me and the one guy, we didn't talk for a couple months, and then all of a sudden he's like, hey, I have a deal, can you help me out with it? And I was like, of course. And then we JV'd on it, and it was in Southern California. It's actually a really cool story too, but I can tell you about it if you want to hear it.
All right.
All
Do.
right. Okay. So it's in Southern California, and I have some buyers in that area. So he hit me up. He's a wholesaler. He got the lead from a neighbor lady,
Okay.
and to help another lady out that is her neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
So we started working it. I found a couple buyers to come look at it. They were both coming to view it on the same day. So we set that all up. The first buyer came, he was very interested and he wanted to buy it.
Nice.
So I said, okay, cool. I still have to, warrant the other lady, because I told, I did give her,
An
the
appointment.
option as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so she went, and she ended up knowing the seller. And
Oh, she knew the
yeah,
seller.
she knew the seller and had a
Okay.
relationship with the seller's family. And they started talking about price and what it was locked up for and what we
Uh-oh.
were
So
trying
she
to
was going
sell it
around
to.
you?
The seller was wanting her to go around us. So the
Oh,
seller
oh,
wanted,
oh,
yeah,
not good.
yeah.
Sorry.
So
Bad seller.
yeah. So the buyer came back and she's like, hey, just so you know, this lady was trying to cut you out of the deal, but I'm not going to do that. You're the one that brought me the lead, And I was like, well, good. We have it under contract anyways. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
um,
that was good of her that she did the right thing, the
yeah.
buyer. And what
So,
did she want to buy it?
yeah, she does want to buy it. So she gave me her offer, which was, I think, about $5,000 lower than the other guy's offer.
Oh,
And I was like, well, could, the other guy's, he's here. Could you think you could come up a little bit? And she was like, no, this is my offer, but I will. Now the seller, her electric was shut off at this point. Her water was also shut off because she had been strung along by another wholesaler for 3 months before we got along.
oh
And
dear.
that other wholesaler just held the contract and never found her a buyer. No one ever came and
Oh,
looked at it, nothing. So
what a
at this
mess.
point, yeah, her electric had been shut off, her water had been shut off. She was in a bad place. So this seller, she's like, no, I won't go any higher in price, but I will have the utilities turned on tomorrow if, to help her out. I was like, all right, well, let me call my partner and I'll get back to you. I called my partner. He's like, told him the situation. He's like, well, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, well, I don't think we should get greedy over a few $1,000s. I think this lady is going to help the seller out the most and put her in the best situation. Let's do that. Let's take the
Yep.
lesser price
Yep.
for,
Even though the seller was trying to go behind your back.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's good.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
good.
It's just what felt morally right, what
Yes.
felt good in my stomach. So we go back, we go with that seller, that's all fine. Now, the neighbor lady we got the lead from, she finds out that the seller tried to cut us out of the deal. She calls us and she's mad. She's like, I can't believe that she tried to cut you out of the deal. You guys have been trying so hard to help her and to get her house sold. And we're like, she's like, I'm gonna go over there and talk to her. And we're like, no, 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 we're okay. It's like
I'm going over there to give her a piece of my mind.
yeah, exactly. And we're like, no, like now the lady's, who knows, she could not want to sell to us at all, or, really,
Yeah, yeah.
So she does her thing and then she calls us back and she's like, okay, I got you a $10,000 price reduction. And I was like, no way. And so I was just like, you know what? That is why I'm in this business.
That's
That
awesome.
that right there, like, sometimes, not always, but when you look out for someone else's best interests, like
Mhm.
someone is going to be looking out for yours too.
Oh, wow. That's what you call
So it's-
karma, folks.
yeah,
I
yeah, it
think
was
that's
just
really awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome that the neighbor lady was watching for you and had your back.
mm-hmm.
And I guess, she let the seller know and the seller tried to make good.
Yeah, yeah. So
Awesome. Awesome. So did that come to closing?
yeah, that came to closing, and
Awesome.
yeah,
That
that
was
came
a
to
very
closing.
cool story.
Yeah, and I actually made 15,000 on that one.
Oh,
So, and
awesome.
yeah,
Congrats.
thank you.
Congrats. So how long ago was this? Like how far back is it? Or is it
This that one actually wasn't too. That was probably about 4 months ago. So that one wasn't
wonderful?
too long
Wonderful.
ago. But
So I had probably met you by then because we've been
mhm,
going back a little while.
mhm.
And I had first met you through Benjamin.
Yeah,
And
that's my partner.
so was Benjamin part of that deal?
He wasn't part of that one. No.
Okay. So then bring us up to where we are now. How did you
Yeah.
get to meet Benjamin? And I know very well when you joined SubTo because we were all
Hmm.
dancing.
Yeah.
But
That was just last month.
I know, so
So,
exciting. But tell us
yeah.
how you got to there and, also where you want to go. And then we'll try to, I want to cover those two things. How did you
Yeah,
get into
definitely.
SubTo and where do you want to go?
Mhm. All right. Well, I met my wonderful partner, Benjamin Martinez, actually through Carlos, because him and Carlos worked together in the car business years ago. And I had been friends with Carlos. And so Ben came into the SubTo community. I think he found Pace from Bigger Pockets. And so he came into the SubTo community, and then me and him just hit it off. And he was learning, I was learning. We were both grinding, and we could just feel each other's energy, and we just had a connection. And I had already changed my mindset to becoming the buyer at this point. So
Nice.
I was learning how to use other people's money and get private lenders and just all these DSCR loans, and I was learning, putting all the pieces together. And then Ben's like, well, I want to do that too. And he was big into the Gator community. So he was on the lending side and all of that too. And I'm like, okay, well, you have strengths over here and I have strengths over here. Do you want to be partners? And
Yeah.
so we started JB Elite, Josh and Ben Elite Investments.
Very nice.
So
Very
then,
nice.
yeah, it was wonderful, and I couldn't have picked a better partner. Like it's beyond a partnership. It's we're truly family. And like I know it's a probably 1 in a million chance that to find something like that. Like
I think you both got really lucky. I mean,
yeah,
my history with Benjamin goes back considerably further, so I feel I know him better. But
mhm.
from the moment I met you, I was like, oh man, how did you find this dude? So I feel like you were really both fortunate, and it's been great to see the two of you working together. And as you know, I want us to we are going to do business
We
together.
will, yes.
Absolutely. So how'd you get into SubTo and where are you going?
Well, I got into SubTo because Benjamin's in SubTo actually. So since we are partners, he was able to bring me into the mentorship as well as his partner. And it's been great ever since. Like, I'm so happy to be with all my family and and SubTo, and just it's really we're because like we're all uncommon in our own spaces, in our own ways, like by ourselves. But
Yep.
when we get together, like, we are common, because when all of our uncommon selves together make us very common and very powerful. And that energy is just what I've been missing like so much. And
It
like
is pretty
knowing
powerful.
and just like I can't even explain it to normal people that don't know about SubTo. Like even
Yeah,
my girlfriend, like she just like it's hard to like explain like what
I
it
know.
is and what it's going to be, and like
Yep.
what
It is hard. It's
it's
very hard.
amazing. It's really a blessing to be in there. So I think Benjamin, and I think Pace, and I think you, and I think everybody that has supported me, along the way.
Yep. and we feel lucky to have you. So it goes both ways.
Thank you.
Goes both ways. All right. So to end us off, I want you
Mhm.
to tell us about where you're going. What are your plans? What are your goals?
Well, my plans are to I want to start a whole bunch of animal shelters for one. That is, I'm a very big animal lover.
What, any
So
particular type or all kinds?
no, all kinds, but cats and dogs,
Mhm.
I feel there's a lot of strays out there and a lot of ones that need a lot of love. And
Yep.
so around here, I would like there to be less kill shelters
Mm,
for one.
yeah.
So that's a big goal of mine. And so for two, I would like to own a lot more properties, you know, that I really want to create like actual like generational wealth. Like, I am the one that will change my family's name forever,
Nice.
and that's going to be my legacy. So and I have to be the one. There isn't anyone else in my family that can be the one, so I have to do it. Like, and it's I don't I
I'm interested in knowing what kind of real estate do you want to own? Do you know?
I don't I haven't fully pinpointed it yet, honestly.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still I think I'm still kind of testing
Finding your way?
everything out and seeing where I fit and what, but I don't know, a little bit of everything doesn't sound too bad.
I like that. I like that. Well, you're continuing to wholesale?
Yes, yes.
That's a question.
Yeah, yeah, that's wholesaling to me is just an exit strategy. You
Okay.
know, I'm a real estate investor and I understand a lot of different exit strategies, and wholesaling is just one of them for me,
Good for
you
you.
know. So that's how I look at wholesaling. Now, am I a guy that can just be on the phone for 8, 10 hours and just look at a computer and call, 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 call? No, that's not me. I'm much more I am a visionary, but I have kind of been forced into more of an integrator role due to I feel like you kind of have to have, I did if like not coming with no capital into the business,
Mhm.
that kind of pushed me into more of an integrator role because
Yep.
that was the value that I could add, where I could
Right.
put in my sweat equity and help other people. But
Right.
truly, I'm a visionary, like.
Yeah, I would have to say that if you are an artist and you are a BMXer and you created things with um machinery, precision machinery and such, you're a creator, so you're a visionary.
Mhm,
But you're also very good at systems. So, and like you say, if you can do it and that can help you go, why not? Because it's hard to start as a visionary if you don't have any funds. It's difficult.
mhm,
So you'll be able to accomplish assets through the integration that you can offer. So that's
mhm.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Really
and I
cool.
already have, as I've already, I have cash flowing properties now, so, and the
Nice.
fact that we were able to do that with, you know, just the fact that I was able to do it with nothing, like nothing of my own, and, I
Just
was
your
able.
creativity and your sweat and SubTo.
Yeah, and the help of other lenders as well.
Of
Without other
course.
without other people, believing in me, believing in the jockey and the horse, then I wouldn't have been able to do it. But, that was the best thing I could have done, because by paying those lenders back too, now you start a track record for yourself and you
Of
start to get a
course.
reputation, and,
Of course.
other people want to work with you then.
You better believe it. You better
Mhm.
believe it. Well, I feel very honored. And I hope that, there are so many gems you dropped there, and it's just been awesome to see your journey. I look forward to seeing more of it. And to our audience, I say, if you can, you should reach out to Josh. So if they wish to reach out to you, because they have a deal or they want to work with you, how can
Oh,
they
yeah.
do that?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Dude Invests.
So it's Dude
Dude
Invests.
Invests. And the whole dude,
Dude
yeah,
Invests.
Dude Invests. Just like,
Very
well,
nice.
if you're
I
watching
love it.
this on video, then you can read the shirt. But and the whole
But
dude
no
thing is
periods, right? There are, does it have
no
periods in between?
periods. No,
Okay.
just dude.
Okay.
This is just I kind of
That's fine. I just want to
took
make
the
sure we're
dare I
giving
took the
the,
dare logo and kind of did, made something with it, something funny. But the whole dude thing too is I really always liked the Good Burger movie, and the
oh,
us the song, one of the song in that is I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, yeah. And I look at that as like we're all the same, we're all dudes. Like I can be a dude, you can be a dude, and
yep,
we can all do equal things. Like
right.
it doesn't, that is the biggest thing for me. So it's a
Nice.
very equal playing field.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much, my dude.
Yep.
And
Thank you so much, Effie.
thank you to our audience. You know how to reach out to him. IG on Instagram for Dude Invests.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
you,
And
thank
also
you.
everyone, like, subscribe, and share this.
There you
Support
go.
Effie and all of her wonderful things that she does.
Thank you. Thank you. I always forget to say that. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.